Perfect. Thanks so much. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Susanna Berkouwer. Today I want to talk about climate and inequality. How are billions of people across the world with low incomes affected by climate? There's a few different impacts of climate. One thing that I'm interested in is tropical cyclones. These are called typhoons in the Pacific, hurricanes in the Atlantic. They destroy livelihoods. They affect human well-being. They cause huge mortality impacts. In addition to that, they also change investment appetite, and that can be at a large scale or at a small scale, right? If you're worried that a tropical cyclone is going to affect your business, that it's going to destroy your investments, you might be less likely to make those investments, and therefore you might continue earning lower incomes. Even if there isn't actually a storm, just the threat of these storms intensifying might lower the amount of investments that you do. In addition, one thing that might encourage investment is by improving access to insurance markets, right? That can improve your appetite for investment because now you no longer face that risk that arises from these potential storms. There's huge global financial markets for climate insurance by things like Munich Re and Swiss Re. But these are operating at really large global levels, and it's not clear how we can relate to those large global markets for insurance with individual farmers in low-income countries who might be affected, who might not even have a bank account in some cases. How can we connect these global insurance markets with small-scale farmers, for example, in the Philippines, where we're looking here? This is an example of one of the worst cyclones that they experienced in the past few years. There's two distinct ways in which you could potentially provide insurance. Most of you are perhaps more aware of indemnity insurance. If you've ever had a car accident or something happened to your house, you might be familiar with this. Something happens. You have to kind of assess your own damages. You submit some type of claim. A lot of paperwork is involved. The insurance company has to review your claim, assess your actual damages. Oftentimes, they have to actually inspect them visually. Somebody has to come to your house. Right? This is really onerous, requires a lot of labor, requires a lot of time. Oftentimes, you get less money than you think you should get, right, that you deserve. So you might be disappointed or frustrated with that. And also, this whole process costs a lot of money. And so if you have low-income households who maybe only want a smaller amount of money, it's not going to be cost-effective to provide this type of insurance. And so instead, there's a different type of insurance called parametric insurance, which should show up on the slide. There it is. Parametric insurance is automated, it's fair, and it's fast. So global companies can use satellite information, such as what's displayed here. This is showing temperatures in real time. These are kind of hourly level data, really, really geographically specific data. You can monitor this in London or New York or wherever you might be located, and you can identify storms as they happen. And you can have an insurance contract that basically says if temperature exceeds a certain threshold, or if rainfall exceeds a certain threshold, or if drought exceeds, or whatever type of parameter you want to insure, you can insure that, and within days, that global insurance company can make that transfer automatically. There's no inspection of damages, there's no other process. The event is detected with satellite data, and the transfer is effectively initiated almost immediately. You can imagine how this can improve access, right? You can get these payments to local farmers within days, potentially. In the Philippines, this has been happening for the past few years. This is an example of one of the cooperatives getting a payout. So a cooperative in the Philippines is a small bank. There's tens of thousands of cooperatives all across the Philippines. Each small village basically has a cooperative. And because they are in the banking system, they can get these types of insurance policies and then distribute the payouts to the farmers that are affected. This is an example of one of the provinces. So the premiums are calibrated to the risk levels that each province faces. You can have higher or lower triggers, right? You can set the rainfalls and the wind speeds that might trigger different amounts of payouts. This is all super customizable. They have different types of policies in different countries. The London-based insurance company, they're called Global Parametrics. They have these types of policies for earthquakes, for all sorts of natural disasters that you can detect remotely all across the world. We're working with Ibiza, which is a platform that basically uses the satellite data and detects these events in real time, and they then pass the transfers on to Climbs, which is a bank in the Philippines. And it's the bank in the Philippines, Climbs, that then can distribute all of the payments to the cooperatives. Again, in these cases, this can happen within days after a storm like this. So I'm telling you all these kind of issues, right? How can we get this money to farmers and to local villages in a short time? This is all nice in theory, right? This sounds really good, but let's actually see whether it works. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer to you today. What I am going to tell you is that over the next year, over the next 2 years, we're going to be surveying lots of farmers. So actually, over the past couple of months, we've surveyed 100 cooperatives and 1,000 farmers to understand what types of insurance they have, what they might do with these types of outcomes. And then over the next couple of years, we're going to track payouts, insurance policies, storms as they happen to see how these larger numbers of co-ops and farmers are going to be affected. So we want to know whether this type of insurance can spur business investment by reducing the risk associated with investments. We want to know whether it can alleviate humanitarian crises by offering people these payments, and perhaps they can get food or they can get access to housing more quickly if that was destroyed. And then finally, we want to know whether it's better to offer insurance to individuals or to these cooperative banks. So we want to compare those and see which of these provides better incentives for investment in the long run. I'll end there. Thanks so much for your time.